I don't understand like when an analysis or comes out later from an analyst during a fight saying, hey, a referee shouldn't be involved or a referee shouldn't be dictating the speed of the fight. Doesn't that go against the whole principle of how the referee resets a fight to keep it engaging?
Well, I think the referee should do that. At the same time, I think that you got to give a guy a chance to progress. But if somebody gets a position, they're here, they've settled in, they started doing some work, they're like throwing knees to maybe work on the guy. But if they're doing something that you think, hey, we can watch this for 5 minutes from bell to bell and nothing's going to change, then it's the referees. Because once you have that position, you know, we're the only combat sport. You know, once you have that position, the other guy can't do anything.
Yeah.
And so the guy can burn up a lot of time. He can get an advantage, and he can win. But is it that what we want our sport to look like? You know, and I don't talk to them that much, but there's this show called Dana White's Contender Series.
Yeah.
And there's certain guys who get contracts. And so I think that's what they want the sport to look like. You can go on there and win, but if you don't win, like where you're making a oh shit moment, as they like to say, they're not going to hire you.
Yeah, they want exciting fights now.
Yeah, and I think that's what I want too. I think that's what the fans want. I think that's why our sport is growing. That's why, because our sport's exciting.
I'm going to tell you something. I agree with you 100%. I've fought guys with this trying to lay and prey on you, like Uncle Chael, his favorite fighter. I hate the way
I love Uncle Chael.
Shut up.
Shut up. I hate the way he fight. Don't you dare say a bad thing about Uncle Chael.
I hate the way he fights. I hate the way he fight. I love him.
Tell me why.
I love him. I think he's very good for the sport. He's very exciting. But since I fought, I hate people that do that. They're really good at one thing, holding you down and leg humping you. And
he don't do that. He don't do that.
Refs should be like, come on, man, do something. Stand up. Like, I never say anything about people taking me down and going for the ground and pound, or going for the submission.
Right.
That gives me the chance to get up and fight.
Yeah, you're a grappling fighter too. You're well-rounded. You take people down, but you come and once you take them down, some stuff's happening.
Yeah, right. I don't like the fighters that just lay on top of you, but I'm gonna play devil advocate here. I think a lot of people do it because some people they get the money to show and the money to win. Now they want that money to win. And another thing I think that happens sometimes in the UFC, if you lose 2 fights in a row, I don't know if it's still like this, but when I had my contract, you lose 2 fights in a row, they can cut you.
Right.
And sometimes people be on their second loss and they got another loss. So what? They're gonna have a boring fight. They ain't worried about getting cut after the fight they lose. So they're gonna do whatever it takes to win.
Right.
And I feel like that's what happens sometimes.
And you're right about that. And those are real big decisions, especially up there. That's big money. And so when I say that I'm open to discussion about that, I really don't like making all these decisions in a vacuum. And so I'm not being facetious, like you can call me. I'm like, yeah, because those are serious things to consider. You know what I mean? Because could be a couple of losses and they cut you, or the fact that your win money is a huge amount of money. And you got the referee saying, let's work. And you might get tired or you might do something like that and end up losing the fight. But those rules are put there and we should be consistent with it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Do you get pressure from the UFC to make these fights more engaging or more active?
The UFC doesn't put much pressure on me. Believe it or not, they're pretty hands off unless you do something horrible. Then they're like, okay, we don't need this guy around anymore. But they pretty much leave it to the commissions to talk to us. You know what I mean? And we did have one time where we went and talked to the producers and analysts and had a meeting. That was like a couple of years ago, but that was the first time we'd had that ever.
What did they talk to you about?
Well, we just talked about, just so they could understand what some of the things we do, understand our scoring system, understand this or that. You know what I mean? And so, I think I would appreciate more conversation. But,
do you ever get a chance, like before the fights or after the fights, during the middle of reffing, to talk to one of the analysts or talk to one of the people?
I'd like it if it was a little bit more structured. You know what I mean? I'm here to do my job and they're there to do their job. I don't want to come up and talk to them about it like that. I'd like it to be structured, maybe where the commission's involved and everything too, just because we should, be on I think that even if we're not, I think we should be on the same page. And I think that, they should understand how I make my decisions. And if they have, those guys are real smart guys. They're not there. This is all competitive. That analyst position is competitive. So if they have something that they really want to talk about, I always would want to hear it. You know what I mean? And so, that's what I'm always open for.
Do you do like fighters who think that you stopped the fight a little bit too early? Do they ever come up to you and say something like after the fight and stuff?
Yeah. And I've had it over the years, and I've had times where they go, you stopped my fight too early. And some of them I watch and go, okay, I could have given him a chance. And then sometimes, I'm not going to tell you which ones. I get beat enough. I'm not going to hand people a stick. But, but
it happens though.
Yeah, but there's some, and I can go back and I look at it and I adjust what I'm doing, because a lot of the time, just like fighting, refereeing's position. You know what I mean? And so I have to think about why I was in that position and why I wasn't in that position. And so sometimes I might get there and another punch might land, but I have to adjust my position, because like I don't want to get there and pull somebody off and I can't really see what's going on. Because the worst thing, and it's a cold sport, it's like when we all have a lot of respect, and some of these guys I've known for years, when you pull somebody off your friend and he's looking at you saying, I'm fine, it's like you've done the worst thing you could ever do for him.